What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's your host, Dillon Schroeder, one of the hosts here at Party Chat Sports. And we're here today with a new edition, new episode of Stock Up, Stock Down, coming into the 2024 NFL season. You know I'm a finance guy, and this is going to be a great little series that we'll run every once in a while when I personally feel like there's some major movements in the NFL. And coming into the 2024 NFL season, I can't think of a better time to take a first look at whose stock is up and whose stock is down coming into this NFL season. Obviously, a lot's happened. You know, we've talked about the draft, we've talked about preseason, we've previewed some NFL games, and this is just adding on to some of that content. So if you're interested in that, go check out the channel, drop a subscribe. You know, we're putting out a lot of NFL content here. Going to be putting out some parlays soon, some fantasy stuff. So it's all coming together here, less than a week away from NFL season. So it's the best time of the year, and that time's finally here. So without further ado, let's jump into our first stock up team. And our first stock up team of the 2024 NFL season is going to be the Houston Texans here. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the Houston Texans and how their window is open and how they're at the start of this series here. They got a great quarterback on a cheap deal. You know, we talked about it last podcast if you haven't listened to it yet, but really, you know, they're going into that kind of where the Bengals were at, year two of Burrow. You know, the team's there. They got a lot of pieces. They got a lot of weapons on offense surrounding Stroud, and we'll see how far they can make it, you know, and a little foreshadowing or preview, spoiler alert, whatever. In that podcast episode, I did pick them to win the AFC in the playoffs this year and represent the AFC side in the Super Bowl. Go check out the episode if you want to hear if I predict if they win or not. But nonetheless, Houston Texans, they're certainly a team with the stock moving up. You know, just everything about that team. Young core, that team's going to be really good for a long time to come, and it's just another one of those teams in the AFC that's going to be around for a while. We've talked about the Chiefs for a while, we've talked about the Bengals for a while, the Bills for a while. We'll add Houston Texans into that mix, man. They're going to be there, and they're going to be a team to fight with, you know, come this fall and this winter. Jumping now into the first stock down team, and I hate to say this, but it is the Minnesota Vikings. You know, no matter how much Cam will tell you that they believe in Sam Darnold and Sam Darnold's going to take them places, the truth is Sam Darnold's a bust. He's a backup quarterback, and that he's on his fourth team now in his career. If he was a good starting NFL quarterback, he would have been on one team or two at the most. But it just, from a standpoint of you lost your rookie quarterback for the season, and now you get to see none of his development, you know, proverbially, whatever that word, you know, pushing him back a full year now until you even get to see him step foot in a regular season game now for the Vikings. It just delays progress, you know, and that's really all there is to it. It's not about the 2024 Vikings team anymore. It's not about how many wins they might get. It's about you want that first round quarterback to be your future, and now you don't know. You lost out on a whole season of data gathering of your rookie first round quarterback to see if he's got some of the answers with some of your pieces. Now he's not going to be in the system until your pieces are another step older, and that defense is mediocre. You know, Cam will list off all the stars' names, and you ain't going to hear half of them. So, unfortunately for you, Cam, you know, Justin Jefferson's on my fantasy team, on a couple of them. Yeah, I hate to say it, but the Vikings stock is down. There's just no other way to look at it unless you are in denial. The second stock up team we're going to talk about is the New York Jets. Now, hear me out. They are a little bit overrated, but their stock is still up. I mean, it couldn't really go any other direction, obviously. I mean, literally having an average quarterback is going to propel that team to heights that it should have seen last year. And we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can do that for him. If he can stay on the field for more than 4 plays and more than 5 plays, more than 6 plays, how about we get, you know, like a couple hundred plays out of him? Let's see how that works out. But rather than that, the team's there, and you know, your pieces are, like I just said, your pieces are getting a little bit of years older here. That defense is still very, very good. So the Jets, their stock is up, you know, but just be careful not to buy that stock too high, because it may be a little overpriced a little bit, but nonetheless, it's up from the valley it was in a year ago. The second stock down team that we're going to be talking about is the Cleveland Browns. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm a Browns hater, but putting all that aside, Deshaun Watson ain't it. And his stock, personally, has been at the bottom for years now. And he's not the answer. He's not going to be the answer. And he's a very expensive problem that the Cleveland Browns have because that defense is excellent. The offense has pieces. I mean, you got Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and a couple other guys there. If Nick Chubb can come back to being 80% of himself, he's going to be fine. You know, he's getting older as a running back. We know this, and you know they got some pieces behind him too. But Deshaun Watson is not it, and he is going to hold that team so far back this season. That's not even funny, and the defense is going to go to waste. That defense probably regresses a little bit too with the third hardest schedule in the NFL this year. They're still going to be good, but you know they're not going to be as good as they were a year ago, just in their overall numbers because they were facing so many bad teams last year. But nonetheless, you know if the Browns had somebody, you know they got Winston is the backup right now, and we'll see if he ever plays this season. But you know they had a hodgepodge quarterback last year of some games of Watson, some games of DTR. And eventually, you know, some games of Brissett, I think I could be mixing that up, but then eventually they had to call in Joe Flacco off the couch, and he was even able to do some things for that team. So if they're just like the Jets. If they had an average quarterback, they'd be fine. But unlike the Jets, they don't have one right now. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to come back and be one. Deshaun Watson is not one, so the Browns stock is down. Going into a very tough division this year with a very tough schedule, I think they are going to struggle. Now, before we jump into the last stock up team of the video, I do want to give a couple of honorable mentions. Shout outs to the Arizona Cardinals. You know, that's a team where their stock's definitely moving up. No doubt. They were very bad last year. They got Kyler Murray coming back. They got Marv, a young superstar wide receiver who's going to blow up in this league. But let's just see a little bit more before we start to really see that stock shoot up. Could they have another Larry Fitzgerald era on their hands where they're meh for a very long time? Maybe they get to one Super Bowl before Marvin retires. Who knows? I'm just throwing this scenario out there. That doesn't have to be the case. But Cardinals, you're moving in the right direction. We see what you're doing, but your stock's still a little bit low for right now. Unless you're buying stock for a couple years. That's a good team to look out for. And then the Colts, we'll see. They're one of those teams where their stock might be a little bit up, but it's tricky because you don't know who Anthony Richardson is. If he shoots, it's one of those boomer busts, right? It's gonna be one of these on the chart. You just don't know. But Colts, we will see what you are cooking, in the words of one Dwayne Johnson. And then before we hit our final stock down team, some honorable mentions. I guess I didn't even have any written down here, but honorable mention, I guess I'll just throw this out there, the Giants. I mean, it's one of those teams where that stock's been down for a long time, but it's not like their stock was high and it's going down. It's just been down. The Giants are very bad, but you know what? They could be a stock up team if they have a bad season. Get the number 1 overall pick. See if you get some new pieces in there. Get rid of Danny fumbles over there, and maybe you're putting your team in the right direction. Really, the other part of the NFC East, I guess. Maybe the Eagles are one to look out for as stock down. I mean, it's not as high as it was because the Eagles were up there. They're down a little bit, but maybe that's a value play. We'll see how that quarterback head coach thing shakes out. So we'll see. But I didn't even hit my last stock up team. My last stock up team is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I hate to say that. But they're undeniably, their stock's coming up, and it may only be for 1 year because you're going to see what's going to happen with all those pieces if they do pay Jamar Chase. By the time this video comes out, maybe they did. But right now, he's not practicing. He may miss a couple of games, but nonetheless, that schedule is setting up very nicely for the Bengals. They're the only one of the AFC North that isn't in the top 5 hardest schedules coming into this year. They're actually number 6 easiest. So Bengals, a lot of the pieces coming back. That's a hard team not to see that their stock's moving up. But nonetheless, still going to be a tough year. They got to put it together. Is Joe Burrow's wrist okay? It's a bad injury to come back from. So nonetheless, though, Bengals are our last stock up team. It's just hard to deny that they're going to be at least somewhat decent. They're going to be close to the Bengals we saw a few years ago, but it's a matter of how close can they get. And then the last stock down team, another one of those teams we've talked about for a few years, is the Buffalo Bills. And I think that's not going to come as a surprise to a lot of longtime listeners to the channel. The Buffalo Bills are 100% a stock down team. And the only thing keeping their stock out of the gutter is their quarterback, Josh Allen. They're like the opposite of the Browns, right? They got the quarterback. Josh Allen's great. But the rest of the roster is nowhere. That defense is, again, another year older. More injury prone than ever before. What are your weapons? James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. I'll give you that, but that's your wide receiver one. It's Dalton Kincaid, and that's it. Khalil Shakur is going to go for 5 catches, 50 yards a game, and maybe have a 90-yard bomb like once every 3 weeks. But I just don't see it with this team. And I've said this a couple of years now, or maybe the last year or summer or so, but Josh Allen's going to be one of those quarterbacks that finishes his career somewhere else because Buffalo is not going to put the team around him that he's going to want or that he's going to need. So look to see a late stage like Tom Brady flipping a team, or I had a good analogy for this a few months ago, whether it was Phillip Rivers maybe or hidden jumping teams as well, just guys you would never think would, but if they continue to not put that team around them, they're jumping ship. Maybe Justin Herbert's in that same boat. I don't know. That's who to say. But those are your stock up and down going into the 2024 NFL season. So we'll see. Regardless, it's all going to change the minute we kick off at 1 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday, because now you actually get to see some for real football, and it's all going to come to a head. We're going to watch our fantasy lineups. We're going to be having the Red Zone Octobox on, and it doesn't get any better than that. So drop a like on the video if you enjoy. Comment down below who you think stock is up and down, if you disagree or agree with mine. Subscribe for more Party Chat Sports content, and happy Labor Day, everybody. That's what today is as of this recording. Football's around the corner. Let's get it.